Hi there, welcome to the Noah Presgrove case, focusing in on a very interesting aspect in the case which was claimed previously. It's not come up since, that's why I'm here to tell you. And it's in regard to Kaden Pressey, claims of he was involved in helping roll over the side-by-side during that time of the side-by-side incident, which involved Noah Presgrove, the driver, and supposedly Texas boys. Now, Kaden Pressey said at the time in the interviews that he never saw it happen. He was asleep at the time of when it probably happened, but he was shown footage or a photo from a video of the event at a later point in time from someone that was there, I guess, to record it. The timestamp that was given doesn't seem accurate enough or tie in with the different timelines of people and even Kaden's recollection. So we're not really including that today. But if Kaden didn't see it, but others say he did, and others say that they've got video footage of that, why hasn't it been released yet? Is it because the police won't allow it? I mean, if the side-by-side is such an insignificant event, as in it doesn't directly correlate to the death of Noah Presgrove and everyone was okay just after that, then is there a reason to hide it from the public? See, videos like this might get things moving, whether it's a rumour and it gets squashed at the end of the day, or if it's a fact and it's backed up with hard evidence, progress is being made, instead of just leaving it be and it fading away, because this has faded. We can also talk about just the mobility aspect when it comes to Kaden. Whilst the wrongful death lawsuit is ongoing, what else is going on at the moment publicly, what we know of? Not much. So it's ticking things off the list. There's a time for everything, and not everybody will see it that way because there's a lot of impetuous humans over time, and you would have encountered them yourself. But for all the key people that are present watching the video, welcome. And for those watching the live premiere, share your thoughts and opinions in the live chat box on the right hand side of the screen. And at any point and on catch up, if you have any additional thoughts, any questions, answers, drop a comment down below under the video. It'll help with spread awareness and keep the momentum going and keeping the case alive, and I'll try and respond back to them. In addition, I'll look at some comments from last night in today's video, catch up there, see if anything needs answering, any important follow-ups. I know Emo Bunny has left a comment here and there elsewhere. I will get to that, all under control, but I need to focus on this first to tick it off the list. We had the breaking news last night. If you've not seen that yet, new information in regard to the scene and a witness on behalf of somebody else speaking out. You'll be able to find a link to that top right corner where the eye symbol is up there, with the full playlist as well of all the coverage I've done on the case. You don't want to miss out, full playlist up there. If you want to support the channel, PayPal link below in the comment section, pinned message at the top with channel membership link if you want to join that as well. Shout out to those that have supported the channel in recent time and just for people that have watched along the way. The order of how we'll do things today is just show you some screenshots. First of all, one from the autopsy report, so it's official. Then a photo of Kaden Pressey. Then we'll incorporate it with the map analysis and highlight what's the big deal about Kaden Pressey if he did participate and help roll over the side-by-side the correct way up. Does it really matter? Is it that significant? Maybe not, but if there's any truth to it, once again, it would raise questions of why was there a need to hide it though? Like a possible lie. Kind of like Alicia lying about who she called at about 10:59 Monday morning when it was JJ Bumpaz, but she says it was her mother-in-law. Why lie? And I know people could say, do we have proof and evidence? We absolutely do have proof and evidence. It's just unfortunate that YouTube took my video down for BS reasons, but maybe someday it needs to be re-uploaded, don't you think? Beside that, later on we'll get to the comment section of last night's videos and see where it goes from there. So let's begin. What you're looking at on screen is a screenshot from part of the autopsy report, which is, publicly available. The external examination. Do we need to read it all out? Well, really, we're just focusing in on the shoe situation. Yes, it does mention about the shorts containing a pair of white printed shorts without observable damage, white metal chain containing 3 pieces of white metal chains, whether that's the whole piece or not, It's quite specific here compared to how it may have been mentioned in the wrongful death lawsuit. But if you just focus on what's highlighted in red, where the line is, and I'll try and zoom in if possible without it filling up the screen too much. Noah Presgrove received wearing only an unmatched pair of shoes. The right shoe was a Hey Dude, which is Kaden Press's, and it contained minimal debris and grass inside. The left shoe was an Adidas, which was Noah Presgrove's, and that had more debris and grass inside. So was the grass collected inside of the shoelace at the time of when Noah was wearing the mismatched shoes, or could it have happened earlier on in the day or the night before? Well, if that was the case, if it was earlier, it would have meant that Kaden and Noah would both have had to have been wearing their shoes, maybe at the same time, maybe in the same type of environment to get that grass inside. It's Alicia that did mention, and it is probably documented on my channel somewhere, but there's so many screenshots, it's impossible to, have all of them. But from my memory, what I do remember, and maybe you do, Alicia said, well, I've got Kaden's other shoe at home, and that could be used as an example, but there's still grass in the shoelace inside of it, that could apply to Noah Presgrove possibly, but linking back to the Ford Ranger when driving about and shooting animals, getting in and out of the vehicle, that's what Kaden Pressey did. Now, Kaden didn't say that himself, but Alicia did. And getting in and out of the vehicle, in a field where there's vegetation, you could understand how grass, loose grass, could get caught inside shoelaces and work the way in. It's very possible. So if Noah Presgrove was doing the same thing, because he was with Kaden at the time, during the Ford Ranger drive around, it likely could have gathered grass there. If not, well then, that's where it links back to the original concept and idea that was it when Noah, wearing mismatched shoes, he was ambushed, he was thrown to the floor, he was dragged along the way. Don't think there was much or mention at all about the shoes having any skid marks, grass marks, or stains like that. Just minimal debris and grass. Now, depending what vegetation you're walking through, and depending how you go through it, if you're simply walking and brushing by, you might collect minimal debris. If you're being dragged, well then things are more likely to catch and possibly stick and tear and cling on. So for it to be minimal, it might be more likely getting in and out and brushing by vegetation rather than being dragged through it, making it sound more innocent. So it's just about giving perspective along the way, and I just don't know if I've mentioned this before collectively. That's why I'm making this video as well, to try tie it in all together. Was there anything else that we need to focus on? Not at this moment in time. I know the mention of teeth, molars, and it was Sarah Long that said about a situation of collecting them in a field, a wheat one. Check my previous video out for that, it's recent. So with that being in mind, the shoe situation, the right shoe was a Hey Dude on Noah. Right shoe, meaning missing. So you see this video clip here, which was 10:50 Sunday night, 10:50 p.m. Kaden Pressey sat down, resting his leg because of that surgery, wearing a pink knee brace as well. They're the Hey Dude shoes, what you see on screen. So the right shoe on Noah was a Hey Dude. So it means Kaden's right shoe was missing. There he had his left shoe on. Now, when it came to Kaden's timeline of 5:15 in the morning, well, he said he spent 2 to 5 minutes looking for his other shoe. And then after that, he went outside and he was hopping about. Was he literally hopping, or was he applying more pressure on one leg than the other, depending what shoe he was wearing and which one he wasn't? I mean, let's say if it's wet outside, you got one shoe on, the other one, just a sock or nothing. Which foot are you going to put down on the ground? The one that's protected, the one that you're wearing a shoe on, so you don't get wet. The other one, which is unprotected, no shoe, you're probably going to have it off the ground. You might end up hopping, skipping about. Now that is possible, of course, but is it possible for Kaden? I mean, it would have been dry anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered that much. And maybe it was an exaggeration and it wasn't literally meant hopping about. But normally when you hop about, you normally hop on your foot which has the shoe on, as an example. And in other ways, other times, you would hop on your best foot, your best leg. Let's say if you've injured yourself with a shoe or not. If you've injured your leg, you try and use your other leg to compensate. You might put all the pressure and weight on your good leg, whilst your dodgy one, your sore leg, or wherever it is sore on you, ankle, whatever, isn't as mobile, restricted. You're lifting off the ground, so you're not applying any weight concentration on it, because if you do, it will hurt or the injury could get worse. And it doesn't even have to be an injury. It could be after, post-operation. Now with Kaden Pressey, post-operation, on his left leg, his meniscus, his ACL, repair with that. I think Kaden said he did it in the past, vacation or boating in a lake, and he jumped off and he whacked his leg on the side of the boat or on a different boat and landed in the water, along the lines of that. And it took him quite some time to recover. And he was recovering post-surgery, you see with the pink knee brace that he was wearing. So with that being in mind, and if you was to hop on your leg which has the shoe on compared to the one that doesn't, you're putting all that weight and pressure on your bad leg or your recovered, surgically recovered leg. Would Kaden Pressey do that? Well, then the only other way of looking at it is you're hopping about on your leg right, which has no shoe. Your left leg with the shoe on, you're hopping. It's to compensate for the injury, the post-surgery, but normally you associate somebody hopping about when they've got one shoe on, the one with the shoe on's on the ground, the other leg is off the ground, and you're hopping. You shouldn't have to hop if it's dry, but it's just how Kaden worded it in his interview. It might not literally be meant, but it's worth acknowledging, because how mobile was Kaden at the end of the day? Because he kind of puts it across that he was limited, but he seemed, well, not seemed, but from what's been said, he was able to at least get into that Ford Ranger and get in and out, as Alicia says. Get in and out gingerly or okay, who knows? Well, what about the side-by-side then? Helping rolling it back on its wheels. Now, did Kaden Pressey say that's what he did? No. Did Alicia? No. Did people from the dark side? Yes. That might raise a few eyebrows from those on the light side, but it needs to be looked at. There's claims that there's video proof of it. People could say, oh yeah, but we've not seen it. It's probably just a lie. We've not seen it with our own eyes. Well, because I've not seen it myself, but more so in the eyes of the general public, that same attitude and argument could be flipped back round to the whole Porchway video of Avery and Carter sisters arguing with one another post-disappearance of Noah. Yeah, it's been talked about either by Justin or Kaden, I think maybe more so Justin, that there's footage out there that does exist of that event, and maybe the odd other person, a Presgrove-related family, may have acknowledged it. But in terms of being able to publicly see that, or the actual hard evidence and proof, we haven't. So you can remain sceptical about that, just like how you can remain sceptical about Kaden and helping flip the side-by-side back on its wheels. At the end of the day, it's an event that happened earlier on before the death of Noah, so there shouldn't be a reason to hide anything at all. Unless... Right, so we've transitioned back onto a demonstration, which I've not done in a while, so I thought that could be of use. Instead of doing the maps over and over again, there's only so much you can tell from that perspective. We don't have ground level footage. We don't have the footage of the side-by-side rollover or post-event of it as what Kaden Pressey was supposedly shown by someone else. So let's just work with what we've got here. Example only, not to scale, right? It's just to demonstrate. Imagine if that was a side-by-side. I mean, what you could argue is, when it came to the Ford Ranger, how come that didn't roll over? More so because of the weight, distribution, the balance, the driver themselves, more or less drunk than Noah Presgrove. And that because it happened Sunday afternoon, going into the evening, not as drunk at that time compared to Noah Presgrove on the Monday. Could you interpret it like that? Side by side, different weight, lighter, more momentum shift, different style of driving, more or less passengers and not quite distributed. The weight, possibly. Got to take it into mind. Can't fit everybody in for this demonstration, as you know. But just imagine you've got 5 or 6 people in it. Oh, goodness. And it's driving about, as Jack said, round the pasture, basically round the back. At the time, there possibly was a trampoline, a swimming pool and decking. And if there's a fence line as well, so there's not much space at all, you're driving round the back. Where was Noah intending on going and how long for? I wonder. It's a mystery. We'll never really know. Unless the witnesses to the side-by-side, Texas boys, could say, well, we were just messing about. It was only meant to drive around the property and that was it, and it was cut short. But we don't know. We don't have any clue. Driving around, turning a hard left, a hard right, which then caused it to... Let's demonstrate that now. Over there, hard right. Like that. Supposedly. And in terms of the footage, what Kaden Presgrove was shown, or the photo, you had Noah Presgrove as example. Sat down, or laying down. Somewhat injured, bloodied nose. But then you had a Texas boy, which was mentioned, I believe, by Robin, had an injury as well. And in terms of the wrongful death lawsuit, I think it was mentioned as multiple injuries, more than one person. So that's interesting. So if you've got a handful of people, 5 to 6 passengers, maybe 7 in total, including the driver, what are they doing now? What's going on? What's the time stamp of when it is rolled back onto its wheels? We don't know. But imagine that's Kaden Presgrove. Now, I put a stand on because it's a bit wonky. It will end up falling over. I don't know if you can see, but I've attached something onto the foot to resemble a shoe. Now, do I have it on the correct one? I don't. That's a good start. What I'm just going to do is just kind of simulate how it could have gone. Probably, there we go. That's on now. I don't know what it's supposed to be off. Never mind. You see that? I don't know if it's going to focus in. So it's just like a shoe in a way. Black underneath. Left. So because of that, you'd be hopping about. But you'd be hopping on the shoe that you're wearing, not the one what you haven't got. But the shoe that Kaden's wearing is the same leg which he injured in the past and was recovering from. So you'd have to be hopping on the other foot. So you'd be at a slight height imbalance. A height imbalance. But, you know, there can be exceptions to that. The main thing is when it comes to the supposed flipping. So I'll just move it over a little bit so there's a bit more room and space, or I think that'll do. How many people did it take to roll it over? 5 guys, 6? Did Noah Presgrove assist? Or did Noah Presgrove rush off, escorted by the girls to the bathroom? Don't know. Put Noah there as example. Some of the guys there inspecting the vehicle. And then Kaden Presgrove, as it's mentioned in the video, comments from my videos, claims of Kaden Presgrove was seen caught on camera at the location of the side-by-side incident and was caught on camera helping other guys in rolling it over, right? The rolling over aspect, back on its wheels. It's not suspicious, that. But for Kaden to say, I didn't see it happen at the time and I didn't participate because I was asleep, then why would there be a reason to supposedly lie? And I say supposedly because we've not seen the actual hard evidence to show Kaden actually there in the moment, right? But I'm just doing this video in terms of awareness. But if any of it is true, is it practical for Kaden to be helping rolling it over? Because if you're already hopping on one leg, or you're a bit gingerly in terms of how you put your foot down and how you walk, mobility limited, range of motion possibly limited as well with the brace, strength and power not quite at the same level as your good leg or your other leg, which isn't injured. And when it comes to the weight, the concentration of when you're helping and rolling something over with the force, the weight of it, locking your legs and pushing, there's going to be a bit of power, force, and strain within the legs as you're locking and pushing and rolling and causing that momentum. But wouldn't it hurt Kaden's leg? Would he be in some kind of discomfort or pain? Yeah, that's just a shoe as an example. We probably, well, to be honest, you could use that as like a knee brace as well, just as an example. Helping rolling it over and then back up. But at what cost? At what cost for Kaden? Would it have been uncomfortable or not? And why? You know, like if people were saying, oh, it's all one big lie, the dark side are making false claims and saying that there's a video out there when there isn't. How does the dark side benefit from claiming Kaden was there at the side-by-side incident? You know, what is there to gain from it? Just to say, oh, well, there you go, Kaden's a liar. And then what? If Kaden Pressey was asleep during when Noah walked away and died, Kaden Pressey is not a witness. Kaden Pressey is not linked to Noah's death. So anything that happened earlier or much later onwards, there's no reason to lie. And if you do lie, yes, that is very weird. But if people on the outside and general public are trying to show Kaden in a negative light, which some could interpret as done with force or not quite natural, or people trying to paint Kaden in a negative light without Kaden doing anything wrong, but others are claiming other stuff. But if Kaden's innocent at the end of the day, regardless, then why do any unnatural attempts need to be made to paint Kaden in a bad way? So it's just a matter of, will there be ever any proof or evidence of Kaden rolling the side-by-side over onto its wheels, assisting others? And if that does exist, why does Kaden not acknowledge it? What else is there to hide? Is there anything to hide whatsoever? Is it because Kaden Pressey did not want to be seen on camera, or doesn't talk about it more so in interviews because he didn't want to annoy his parents for overexerting his leg? Didn't want to get told off, maybe? Is it because Kaden was doing something else at the time? Or he should have been looking out for someone? Depending on the timing of it all, of course. Because the whole Brealey, Georgia situation, but that would have been earlier. Side-by-side, supposedly later on. But, you know, obviously Noah's not here. What was Noah doing when it was being rolled back over? Did Noah assist? Did Noah just walk away? And why did Noah go to have a shower? Because he needed one, but, you know, what about the other Texas boys? When did the Texas boys have a wash down? What about if they had injuries as well as it's been described? You know, what Noah was treated to, seen to, but the others were not, I wonder. And, you know, it's just interesting that if Noah was just injured just a tiny little bit, how come others don't quite mention it? Like, first-hand witness could be Carter Combs that said Noah Presgrove wasn't injured, he was just dirty and that's it. Well, if Noah's got blood on him, an injury is an injury. Now, was it washed, wiped off before Carter got to see? Maybe it wasn't that major, maybe it was just a little cut. Was there any bruising after that? Don't know, wouldn't know. But anything similar with the Texas boys, possibly the passengers. There's things which are minor as part of a minor event, but either it's full of lies or inconsistencies or people not quite telling the full story, making it vague, and it adds mystery to it. For a simple event which just so happened to involve Noah Presgrove, why does it need to be this complex? And if it is innocent, well, people's actions and behaviour and how it's been handled makes it seem more important to the death of Noah Presgrove. So it might create a false outcome, a bit of false hope. That's damaging. Videos like this need to be made to highlight problems like that. And we'll see if anyone's got answers down below in the comment section, and if anyone's got answers as to where the video exists and will it ever be released public to show Kaden involved or not. With that being said, let's at least highlight the comments from last night and see if there's any crossovers or additional points that need to be acknowledged. Let's work our way up. We'll start from the bottom. Nancy says, absolutely not. Now I wondered what? No answer. I can imagine Nancy was just responding back to a certain aspect in my video at the time, but no timestamp given or no response to a direct question or anything, so it's a bit confusing. We've got Cleo says, #1 channel. I appreciate that. Tammy, the medical examiner should have pictures of it then. How far are the rivets from the white line? Because they say Noah was laying on the white line. Fair enough. Yes, I do understand. Of course, from what we've learned since, they're not rivets. Well, there could be rivets, or there's another term for it. I do remember that when I searched that word term on Google, it did show that photo. I know we'll get further up in the comment section where someone says it's not called that, it's called this, but whatever. Response-wise, Carl, from More Like Rest Map Analysis video, it looks like the rivets are about 1 to 1.5 from the white line. Is that centimetres or metres? I'm not too sure what the reading is there. But, you know, in fairness, on the white line or half on the white line or near to the white line, depending how blood forms and collects and the gradient of the ground that Noah's on, blood can leak under, gather around, and it can settle at a certain spot, or there's a slight little dip in the ground or a little crack, rivet here, a rivet there, then the blood can collect. As long as Noah is near to it, it's possible for the blood to travel because it's very, very short distance. But I do get what Tammy's getting at. We got Classy, shout out to Classy, long time viewer. Dakota, no arrest, no breaking news. It's one of those things where it depends how people interpret my videos. I can do titles and descriptions. I've got a character size limit. You can only have it so long. I think it's under 100 characters. It can be difficult to explain it all in one go. So you've got to summarize and people look past it. I do try and explain further in the description as to what the breaking news is, but not everybody looks. It's not a me problem. It's more so if other people look or not. George responds, keep searching OSCN. You might be in for a surprise or 2 or 3. And George says, to me, you will have more content soon. Well, that sounds rather interesting. Of course, if anyone does have material or content and wants to pass it on appropriately, and if it can be done, feel free to reach out to me, because it will be under control and you will be in safe hands with better standards as well, unlike other humans out there. Carl, why do you say that? Just curious. Probably true then. And George says, yes, I'm on record as saying the first charge in this case would have nothing to do with the actual case. A lot of people should be sheeting bricks. Interesting. Rebecca, here is the official medical report. There's a link there. Lisa, thank you for posting it. Raf also has a really good video on the autopsy. Well, I appreciate that. It'd be really helpful if the dark side read the ME report. Right, so Lisa is suggesting that people from the dark side in the community have not bothered looking at the medical examiner report or the autopsy. Okay. It does help. All the answers are right there in the autopsy report. We all need to be on the same page so we can have productive conversations, don't you think? That will never happen, because humans can't gel all together all the time. And if they did, the world would be a boring place, technically. It sounds hard to believe that in the moment, but it makes sense long-term speaking. Some people gel, some people don't, some people are neutral, and other people are all over one another. It depends the situation, of course. In regards to the case and community here, there'll be divides, but just like how it was in the past. There's no problem with a divide or disagreements, but most of the time from what we see, that's the moment the building blocks off drama and conflict and pettiness. Nothing you can do about it. I see it, it comes, it goes, but what remains constant in life? Warlike stamina, wrath, and Lisa's teapot. That profile picture has remained consistent for quite some time now, but I don't know if the teapot's on or not, because I don't see any steam coming out. My God, Lisa, make a tea right now! But beside that, I've done some coverage on the autopsy, and earlier showed a screenshot of that as an example. So there's a bit of a link. BMAR always thought she was shady, in my opinion. I'm guessing they mean Brooke Bounce-Carter, because that's the person I was doing a video about yesterday. In my opinion, I never trusted anything she said. Right, so when Brooke Bounce-Carter said that the video of Noah Presgrove dancing in the kitchen dining area with the black shorts on claimed to be at 10:52, I think, was it in the morning or in the evening? I can't remember which way round it was, but it's been documented. Not that we've seen the video clip of it, of Noah dancing in black shorts, but no timestamp attached. But BBC says 10:52. Carl, I think what Brooke Bounce-Carter says is very possible. What is strange is that, if true though, why wasn't it mentioned in the Emmy autopsy report, and why didn't the police photograph it and report it as well? Yeah, fair enough. Because, it's the first time I'm hearing about it, and if it's unseen, and if everything else has been documented supposedly, and talked about, and publicised, whilst it was a blind spot at the time, if Noah's body's covering the rivets or the dips in the ground to some extent, as soon as Noah's body is moved, rolled, taken it back, taken away, what's left behind may show blood, should show blood, but not really documented in the autopsy to that extent or that detail, from my memory, and the news articles said. It is weird in a way. In a response to Stephen, Carl says, Jack had a Ford Ranger, which I have also, a 2008 Ranger Sport. Nice. I also have owned a Ford F-150, which are a lot bigger. Rangers are Ford's smallest trucks. Right, so a Ford Ranger is different to a F-150. That clears that up. I know Brenda cleared it up as well in the chat last night, which is good. Sorry to bring up my comment. It's okay. I did not know has done all that despicable harassment to the people you mentioned. Well, most of the despicable stuff, to some extent, has happened to me, but other people have been harassed. And Carl says, I disagree with Gary, by the way, like you. I will not view any more videos of the fake AI videos of you or Noah's information. Well, you do what you need to do, Carl. It's just about spreading awareness based on what I come across, what I'm on the receiving end of, and the relentless harassment. And as for the motive and the original justification behind it, makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But I do also think it's important and interesting that you do have people in the community in the case that will look up to something like that out there, and people think it's acceptable, especially those that know. And then you think to yourself, does that make them any better? What are they capable of too? All these people that may bow down to somebody out there that's known for sexual deviant activity threats, then does that make all the supporters sexual deviants as well? That's why you got to go to these extreme-based outcomes to put it into perspective. You got a very well-known paedophile out there, and others know about it, but they still bow down to them. It's like, what does that make them, Yeah, you do get cults along the way. We've seen it in true crime. You get cults, masses, sheep. Very dodgy. John, aren't there photos of the scene? BBC protests too much. Well, yeah, there's photos of the scene, but only highlighted in terms of some spots and not acknowledged as for the rivets or the dips in the ground. No mention of blood there. Julie, okay, all of a sudden this is brought up and out in the open by her. Well, it is all of a sudden, yes, and why? All we can say, Julie, is a witness, a person from the scene, recently told Brooke Bounds-Carter. So with it only happening recently, Brooke isn't holding it back from the looks of it. She's revealed it public close to when she was told about it. More so, we should be questioning why the original person, the one at the scene, decided to bring it up this late on. The middle factor to take in mind is maybe BBC and that person on scene had not spoke to one another until recent. So there was no real reason for that person on scene to be telling anyone earlier because they just weren't about or present, maybe. Lisa says, does Brooke think that we are completely freaking that? She is really too much. Oh, please put Brooke on the stand. She will be a great witness. Please, I'm begging you. So after 2 years, all of a sudden, out of the clear blue sky, or maybe because I've been talking about how much blood Noah lost, 1/3 of Noah's blood was missing. Is she so dumb she doesn't think that there's photographs and eyewitnesses like Dylan and Victor? The attorneys would have a field day with her. Oh God, I'm still laughing at her. I mean, not that I'm aware of, but okay, you got witnesses who are present at the scene like Victor. Dylan? You mean Dalen? Dalen? Maybe? Probably just spelt wrong, just so people don't get confused. But did Victor Presgrove, did Dalen Presgrove, did they ever mention publicly about lack of blood or more than enough blood? Did they ever really comment on that? Do you remember as a witness? I don't remember personally. They might have been there to witness it, but were they there to talk about it public and let us know? Julie, why now? Good question. Why now? Lisa, I'm only 3 minutes into the video. Brooke, rolling my eyes so hard right now, they hurt. First of all, no such thing as a rivet on the road. Well, there was an official definition of a rivet. That's what was shown in my video. There was on Google search, there was a definition of a rivet, which is to do with placed in the ground on the side of the road or highway, and it links chains up with a sign or a post to some extent. You could maybe call it ruts in the ground instead, markings. There's probably a better term for it. But Brooke did, well, I don't know about apologise, but Brooke did clear it up last night in chat and said, oh, I didn't mean that. I used the wrong word. Anyway, this person says, a rivet is always round. They can be decorative or furniture like a washer for a screw. A rivet is used to keep things together. Yeah, to keep things together. Pattern of the road is called a rumble strip. Yes. I agree with that. But yeah, a rivet used to keep things together. The official definition said that a rivet could help keep things together, as in like a road sign, and then connected to the road itself. So, just for your information, Noah has a rumble strip impression pattern on his abdomen from laying flat on his stomach. Does that sound? Just like Kaden said, he saw Noah face down. Well, to my knowledge, from what I remember in Kaden's interview, Kaden didn't say that Noah was face down. Kaden said that Noah was on his side, arms and legs were sprawled out, and the head was twisted. As in what way? Can't quite remember, but I don't remember Kaden saying Noah was face down, more on the side and neck twisted the other way. So, Have you ever owned a dictionary? Or Google it if you don't know what the word mean, Brooke. Just for your information, Brooke, blood does not evaporate. It has to be washed off the road. There's 1 spot of blood on the road equivalent to a paper cut. 1 to 2 tablespoons. A third of Noah's blood, approximately, half a gallon is still unaccounted for. There is not half a gallon of blood in the rumble strip. We'd have heard that from the dark side non-stop for the last 2 years, and it would be included in your autopsy report, so try again. Glenn, shout out to Glenn. Oh, we got Johnny. Welcome back, Johnny. Not seen you for a while. Leah Chaffins, welcome to the channel. Been following this story from the beginning. Has anyone checked what the train schedule was the night of his death? I cannot recall the train ever being discussed. Checked in too. Well, on my channel, I have looked into it to a small extent, more so as a map analysis, giving theories and ideas. It was a brief spell, but there was a quite a deep focus on it, as in, was it when Noah was walking away from the party house, crossing the tracks and got hit by a train? Did he fall asleep on the tracks? Did he trip, injure himself on the tracks and couldn't move? Did someone force him on the tracks and then got hit by a train or something like that? But for his body to end up down the highway, how though? And why? If it's by train, if it's some kind of accident, why would any party goer need to touch Noah at all then? Because it'd be incriminating yourself. When as long as you didn't do anything before that, there's nothing to worry about. Well, yeah. I've done a bit of coverage. Leah says, the tracks are right there. The angle of the hit could have thrown his body into the road. Not a mile on, though. That's not possible. Blood loss would be on a long gone train. The injuries would be catastrophic. Just curious, I've been looking at this from the friends hunting him as a man-pig for the argument with the girls, hence the pig hunt comments talked about early on. Pig hunt? I don't remember the pig hunt. Was that to do with the events on Sunday? Hog hunting, shooting animals and stuff, which involved Noah, Kaden, Jack, Brylan, Isaac? I wonder. But lately, those railroad tracks have been catching my attention, especially considering the missing blood. Okay. And last but not least, George says, Justin Roy has been working overtime showcasing anything and everything I've ever said. Not sure why I'm so important, whatnot, etc. That he had to send you stuff saying, oh, look what George said, or oh, wow, look what George said last year, etc., etc. This is so hilarious. Thank you so much for showcasing that in this video. We'll soon see more of this later on, not just to do with Justin Roy, but numerous other people. Cheers. I mean, you're welcome, George. And I don't know if I made it clear, but at the time of when Justin Roy showed screenshots to me, yeah, you could interpret it as Justin is looking out for me to say, look, this is what this person really thinks about you. But what I kept saying to Justin Roy was, because he didn't show me the context, he didn't show me clearly the date or the timing of it, because it wasn't there. I had to ask. I decided to ask. I made the choice to ask without any prompt and say to Justin, is this from some time ago? Is this kind of an old screenshot? And Justin would say, yeah, or along the lines of that. My response would be, oh. Well, if that's around the time of when I came across George and I responded back how I did on Facebook, yeah, it was how it was then. It was relevant to the time. Things do change, outlooks change, and here we are now, and George follows the channel. So there can be a transition, but Justin, without the context, I guess was trying to word it as if it's happening right now, making it seem indirectly as if maybe George was thinking bad of me behind my back, present time. But that wasn't the case. But if it was done like that, like a means of divide and conquer, but I've seen it before in the past. I've seen other people do it. So of course it's not going to work here. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. With that all being said, hopefully you found the video somewhat interesting. Bit of a smaller one today, but still needed to be focused and looked at. Whilst people may not agree with it all, you can still treat it as the events and certain aspects are important. It doesn't have to all be centered around Kaden. You can still look elsewhere at the same event and question other people within it. Because, to be honest, in some way, people haven't really been totally, collectively, consciously coherent and in consensus with the side-by-side rollover, just as one example. There might be some similarities and crossovers, but it's just not said with clarity. If it's not said with clarity, yet there are witnesses, then what chance is there with Noah Presgrove then, with what happened to him when there was probably even less people present, right? But time will tell. Be sure to hit the like button, share the video to spread that awareness. Any comments, leave below. We'll see what happens next. My name's Ref. Thanks for watching. Goodbye for now.